When we hear the word social supports, a lot of things come to mind. What exactly do you mean, and how might somebody benefit from it?
Well, when we think about the phrase social support, essentially what it comes down to is knowing that there's someone or something that cares about you, is rooting for you in your corner. And that's going to take on different meaning. Some of it can be, different depending on the culture that someone is in as to what would be more important to someone to feel that support. Areas where, or people we can feel supported by can include peers and family, faith and religion, organizations that we're a part of, and even, just community organizations outside of, say, the college campus. But when we think of a college campus, we can also include faculty and staff in there too. And as far as how we might benefit from it, there's so many different ways. We know just off the cuff, there is research that supports the idea that having social support makes us live longer. It actually boosts our immune system, and there's some other components to that too. But we also know that social support can reduce the impact of stress, and stress lowers our immune system, which also can impact feelings of anxiety. And there's even evidence out there that social support can help reduce symptoms of depression for those who are able to access that. Ironically, social support can build confidence so that we actually can feel as though we can do things on our own, because it boosts self-esteem. So it's almost like a paradox to say, I've got all the support out there, so I know people are behind me or something's behind me, but I know I can do this because of that support.
Some students feel pressure to establish an immediate and lasting friend group when they get to college. Is that realistic, and how can one cope with that?
It's actually not realistic for many. There can be this misnomer that you're supposed to find this massive group of social connections and people that you consistently remain friends with for 4 years. And actually what we find is that students may gravitate towards certain students at the beginning of the year and not necessarily even be connected with those students at the beginning of the next semester. It's a misnomer. And actually being in a new setting can sometimes feel very lonely, but not everyone's necessarily talking about feeling that loneliness. Also, not everyone finds a group because they may find as though it makes more sense to have a really good close connection with this one person in one organization you're involved with, or another close connection with someone that you go to class with. In the end, when we think about social support, it's not about the quantity of those connections, but really about the quality and how they're experienced that's most life-fulfilling.
How can social media impact relationships, and what might be the best way to use it to support and encourage connections?
Social media like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and others, including the blogs, can be a really great way to connect with folks who aren't immediately accessible. Say you're just coming to campus and you're a first-year student. It'd be a nice way of keeping in touch with folks back home, whether it be friends or family. It's also great in quick way, especially when we think about even just texting on a phone, to make plans, to get a date set for spring break trips and whatnot. But it can get cumbersome. It can sometimes feel like you have to be immediately accessible to answer, whether it be to like a post or to answer a text. It seems as though it can put a lot of pressure on students, so it can get a little tricky there. The other thing to consider about social media as well is that students, not even just students, but any of us could view someone else's account, whether it be on Snapchat or Facebook, and think of it as someone's entire day, but really what's on there is what's chosen to be put out there as opposed to an entire reality. And we tend to not put the mundane on those and just the real great fun social times. And so it can be a little confusing for those who may not be feeling as though their time away at school is everything they envisioned. Maybe not feeling as though, wow, this is the time of my life, which actually not everyone is going to feel. a good portion of the time as though these are absolutely the best times of my life that I could ever have. And so it makes it look as though everyone else is having fun, except for me, but that isn't necessarily the entire reality. Can also get tricky if someone is in the midst of an argument or a conflict with someone and using social media as a means to communicate with that person, or even just, again, text messaging. I would say always save those meaningful conversations and dialogues for in person, where someone can actually see the actual feelings behind the words, because we can make a lot of false assumptions about what someone means in a text message or a post.
Would counseling ever be helpful in establishing social support?
Absolutely. For some, it can be really difficult to connect with new people. And it can be really stressful too, especially when it's not even just about the people being new, but the entire setting. And counseling can be a way to come up with some coping strategies for that stress that someone may be feeling if they're having a difficult time getting to know new people, or just feeling as though this is a big risk to go outside of oneself and start to make new connections. It's a quick change to come away to school, and I always say that having a change like that is abrupt, but adjustment takes longer. And to feel supported by someone, whether it be in the counseling center or people that the counseling center, with the student's permission, can connect that student to others who may be helpful in their journey along the way at PC, can potentially be really helpful. The counseling center is a confidential resource, and one doesn't have to be coping with a longer-term mental health-related issue to come in for an appointment. So if a student would like to make an appointment, all they have to do is come down to the counseling center in Lower Bedford Hall to make an appointment, or to give us a call at 401-865-2343. And we're happy to set up that first appointment.
Thank you.
Thank you.